1 month off of my book buying ban, and I delved straight into a ridiculous number of books. I only bought 3 of these somehow, so it's my fault. Anyway, let's dive straight in to the books that I got in January. First up is an arc from the wonderful folks over at Book Break, and this is The Sun-Blessed Prince by Lindsey Byrd. This one comes out in May 2025. On a hotly contested battlefield, a prince whose touch creates life meets a soldier chosen by death. But can they forge a future together from opposite sides of a great war? I'm very, very intrigued by this one. Also, this orange cover is just loving it, and I can't wait to dive into this. They're totally gonna fall in love. Then the wonderful Eleanor from Eleanor Nicketer gifted me I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. This is quite a dark book about a group of 39 women who live underground, imprisoned in a cage, and at least one of them gets out and is the key to the others' escape, and it's kind of discussing what happens to them in this awful place underground and how they adjust in the outside world. This is going to be dark, this is going to be difficult, but I also think that it's going to be highly rated from myself. This is a translated book. Does it say the translator? Pretty please. Would like to give them some love. Ross Schwartz is the translator from French. Then I got 2 books from my brother-in-law, so we didn't see him until the new year, so these are technically Christmas presents, but didn't see him till the new year, and so I have Once Upon a Summer and Once Upon an Autumn. I have these, as well as Once Upon a Spring and Once Upon a Winter, on my Amazon wish list because the wonderful author Caroline Logan is in here. I adore her Four Treasures series. I have been meaning to reread it actually, because it's just so well written. It's some of the best YA I've ever read in my life. And she's in here along with a load of other Scottish authors, so I'm very, very excited for these collections of short stories. Then for the first of 3 of the books that I bought out of this haul, and that is Four Ruined Realms by Corland. This is the 2nd book in a series. I'm not sure if it's a duology or a trilogy, and I haven't read the first book yet. I got this from Goldsborough, so this is of course a really gorgeous special edition with the sprayed edges, the end pages, the signature, and that's beautiful. I hadn't even paid attention to that. Dear God, that is gorgeous. Oh. So yes, I am excited for this one, but I don't really know much. I think the first one says it's some sort of Mulan retelling, but more close to how it's supposed to be rather than the Disney version. I don't know. Regardless, I am excited. I really should get to this. Then another one sent to me by the wonderful folks over at Book Break, and this is Wooing the Witch Queen by Stephanie Burges. I have actually read this. Read it on the 1st of February, absolutely blasted through this book on the train, oh my gosh. So this is a romantasy. Who am I? What has happened to me? Why do I suddenly love romantasy books? I don't know. But I really enjoyed this one. So we are following a wicked witch queen who has taken over from her abusive uncle and taken back her kingdom. It was supposed to be hers and he had murdered her parents. So she's taken it back, and then a neighbouring kingdom is at war with them. But the Archduke, who is the head of this kingdom essentially, is actually being abused himself. So he runs away from this kingdom and is wanting to either die or be a prisoner, and anything will be better than where he was. And through miscommunication, he ends up being the castle wizard to sort out the library and reorganise it. And of course it's a romantasy, so him and the Wicked Witch Queen end up becoming very close. This was so enjoyable, so easy to read. I had such a fun time with this book. Who am I? I'm not mad about it, I had a great time. This one is publishing on the 20th of February, so I highly recommend picking this one up if you are at all intrigued. The romance, there is no smut. I would put it on maybe a single pepper. There's some light petting. But it's just so fun, so well written. I just really enjoyed it. Then a lovely friend did an unhaul, so I availed myself of some of their books. The first one is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by Klune in this special edition. I read and truthfully really loved The House in the Cerulean Sea. It was my favourite book the year that I read it, but I've heard a lot from Indigenous people to the North Americas that they are very displeased with the way that Klune used the inspiration of the 60s scoop and the way that their people were brutalised by the American and Canadian governments for the inspiration for his story when he's not Indigenous himself. So whilst I had really wanted to pick up this sequel, I didn't want to buy it and give Klune any more money for a story that the people who he's taken the story from have said that they don't like it. So when this was offered up to me, it's already been purchased, it's on the second-hand market, and I'm not adding any financial incentive into this. I was quite happy to pick this up, but I will always mention, when I mention this book, it's why I don't really talk about The House in the Cerulean Sea, despite me giving it 5 stars and adoring it. I will mention that the first one at least is based on the 60s group, and Indigenous folks do not like it. Now obviously, that's a generalisation, some may, but overall they're not keen on it. The first book is essentially about this man who goes and audits care homes where these children are kept, and they are magical, and they are kept in these care homes because they're considered a danger to society. And he goes out to this one, and he goes out there being all like, I follow the rules, and then when he's there he figures out that the rules don't really work, and it's all like a lovey-dovey, like, oh, everyone feels good at the end of the story. I'm not sure where the second book goes, because I've not looked into it, because I was just going to see if it kind of popped up secondhand for me at some point, and it has. So I don't know where this one goes, but I am excited to read it, and it's nice to have a gorgeous sprayed edge, of course. The second book from this unhaul from my friend is Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovskt. I have read The City of Last Chances by Adrian Tchaikovskt, and that is one of his few fantasy works, but he is primarily a sci-fi author. And I was very excited to be able to pick up something from his sci-fi genre, even if it's not his main space opera series. I'm still excited to read more from him in his main genre realm. And this is about a service robot that ends up with a large fault. I'm hoping that I enjoy this close to how much I love Murderbot, which is of course technically a service robot with a big fault. So hopefully we shall see. There's blood on his teacup, so I am expecting good content. Then the last book from my friend's unhaul is The True Queen by Zen Cho, and this one is the second book in the Sorcerer to the Crown series, and I am so excited to delve further into this one. There is fairyland, there is magic that is supposedly only to be wielded by men, and women can only use it for little tasks such as sewing and cooking, etc. in the home, but in reality one of the strongest witches that has ever been is currently in existence, and she's going to shake everything up. It's some of what happens in the first book, and I'm really excited to be able to dive further into the series. Then another book from the wonderful folks over at Book Break, and that is Warrior Queens and Quiet Revolutionaries by Kate Mosse. I am excited for this for multiple reasons. First of all, I have read 2 books from Kate Mosse, her historical fantasies that I've really enjoyed, Labyrinth and Sepulture. And secondly, Warrior Queens and Quiet Revolution. Hello? Was this written for me? Did they go, oh, Abby needs that, let's write it? I am so excited for this. It's a non-fiction, it's about how women also built the world. I feel like it will go, as I destroy my bookshelves, I feel like it'll go very well with The Missing Threads by Daisy Dunn. Having both of these on my shelves, very excited. And also I'm not getting it out, but Forces of Nature, wherever I've shoved it. Where have I shoved that? Anyway, Forces of Nature, that one also is scientists that are female and have been overlooked because they are female. So yes, this one, in this alternative and inspiring history, Kate Mosse shines a light on nearly 1,000 women from across the globe whose names and achievements deserve to be celebrated and not forgotten. So the mother of the modern environmental movement, an unheralded British composer and virtuoso, a pirate, a US civil rights activist, a 19th century physician, a women's liberation leader, an Indian women's rights campaigner, and the first female US presidential candidate. I'm so excited for all of these. The writing is tiny in this book, so they have managed to squeeze a lot in, but I am very excited to dive into this one. It is already published, so if you do wish to read it, you can grab this one for yourself now, and I am just very excited to dive into this one this year. Then the second book I bought myself, and that is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. This is a teeny tiny classic. Again, the writing's a bit small on this one, but it's still teeny tiny, that me and the wonderful Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe are going to be buddy reading. We are hoping to start it, as of filming, next Monday. We shall see, life is busy, but we are going to read this together. We're very excited. We've been primarily reading these thick classics, and they are primarily by white men. What a surprise. So we wanted to try and introduce some diversity into our classic buddy reading, and there's less of those giant ones out there for obvious reasons. Anyone of colour has not really been afforded the opportunity in history to spend that much time honing a long book, so they are a lot less frequent to find. Obviously there are classics that are currently in creation, but we're a century too soon for those. So we're looking forward to diving into this one. I really don't know much. David is a young American in 50s Paris waiting for his fiancée to return from vacation in Spain. But when he meets Giovanni, a handsome Italian barman, the two men are drawn into a tense affair. Written by a black man, set in the 50s, and about a gay relationship. I am so excited to dive into this one. I think there's going to be a lot that I can glean from this and some really interesting writing, so very, very excited for this one. Then another one from an unhaul, this time from Becca from the comic book Sanctum, and this one is Mina and the Undead by Amy McCaw. I have wanted to read this. I have wanted to read this for so long. I am super excited to dive into this one. It's got that kind of old 80s style with a VHS style spine, and it's YA, so I think I'm going to absolutely blast through it as well. And yes, I know that it wasn't Becca's favourite, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that I will love this a lot more than she did. And then the final book, and this is also the final one that I purchased myself, and that is The Song Rising by Samantha Shannon, the broken binding edition of the rewrites. So this one has the broken binding. So I actually had an issue with my first edition of this, which is why The Mask Falling is not on this list, because that actually came in 2024 in December, but I had to send back The Song Rising because my edition was damaged, and I now have a wonderful undamaged edition. So this is the third book in the Bone Season series, which I adore to the ends of the world, and with the rewrites happening across the whole series up until this point, I really need to get to this and to actually reread it / read it for the first time, so that I am prepared and ready for book 5 when it comes out this year. I'm so excited. So yes, that's the last book in my little haul. And those are the 13 new books that I got in January. I only read 8 last month, so apparently I need to get reading if I'm going to try and get these TBR shelves down. Please let me know if you have read any of these down in the comments below and tell me which ones I need to prioritise. I am so excited to get to all of these. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!